Okay, hello. Um, so what we're doing here is we're attempting to do something at the Junction Arts Festival. Arts Festival. So this is the thing I was involved in last year, and I did a pretty cool exhibition, and it got me kicked out. Yeah, so it's this a collision of art, performance, and music. So I was speaking to someone the other day, and they saw my exhibition last year. And so what I had set up was this AI that debated the for and against arguments on the voice to Parliament. Now I won't go into the details on that as such, but anyway, got me kicked out. Some people cried. Some people yelled at me. I was supposed to be there for 5 days, and I got kicked out on the second day. I thought it was hilarious, and it pissed a lot of people off. But then I thought, well, if art doesn't make you feel something, then what is it? It's just wallpaper. So anyway, I got talking to one of the guys who's helping to run it this year. He saw my thing and he got it. And so now he asked me, like, hey, come up with an idea. I think the expression of interest have already gone in, but come up with an idea, pitch it, and you might just get in. So I figured, hey, why not? It was fun. It's a bit dangerous, but it was cool. So here we are. So today, what we're going to do, actually, no, over this process, what we're going to do, I'm going to live stream as much as I can of it, of coming up with the idea, the process, how I do it, what happens, and just document it all, because I think it's pretty cool to see this stuff sort of play out. Now, I might do highlight videos further down the track, but this is going to be a fly on the wall, minute by minute, second by second, seeing the process live. It's probably not going to be the most exciting thing to watch, but it's not about that. It's really just seeing the journey. And eventually, I think what I'm just going to do is, record out this whole series and this whole process, and then sort of chop it up. Perhaps chop it up into some course content, chop it up into just some highlight reels, whatever it may be. There is no real plan at the moment. There's no plan but to just go, just try something. So let's just check. Cool, we're live. So what I'm developing is the creative world. What this is, I'm still figuring it out at the moment, but where I want it to be is, this is just a work in progress site. Creative. I've got my domain and set up for new. But this is only a snapshot. This is not the, this is not the finished thing. This is really just a sketch in motion at the moment. So I used to run an agency called Elativia, and our tagline was the creative world. Now, Elativia was never actually supposed to be an advertising agency. It was just a way to make money using creative skills at that point, when I needed to generate an income. But then I sort of got back, and it's like, no, I need to go back to the original vision. And the original vision, this was about the same time as Behance, actually. Probably just a smidgen before that came out. But that's the trajectory. It was meant to go down. A place for creatives to upload their work, sharing in the process, I think. I don't know, it was a long time ago, so I can't remember the details, but this is a very similar thing. What this turns out to be, I'm not quite sure, but the idea is to re-examine what does it mean to be creative now. I think a lot of talented people get hijacked by making commercials. So you get these incredible brains that are just selling stupid shit like flavoured popcorn and chip packets, cars. And they're all wonderful and they're necessary, but there's got to be more. There's got to be another outlet. And I don't think Behance is it either. The problem I have with Behance, and I do look at it, but it's just a copy of a copy of a copy. Everybody's doing the same sort of thing. Like, nothing really changes. All the work's derivative. And everything's kind of this, like, sucky brand stuff. Now, like, technically, like, this is all incredible. Like, everybody's technique, especially on this front page, it's at the top. But now when we've got these things, like, mid-journey, it's not good enough. So we look at this stuff. So the difference between Behance, which is created by people, and Midjourney, which is created by people using AI. Check that out. We saw a glass one up here somewhere, I think. I saw something like that. So it's like when you see someone who did this, and technically this looks great. It probably was done in AI, but let's just assume it wasn't. That and that, like, where we lost it. But so the whole idea behind the creative world, because there's this whole shake up now with creativity. It's thinking, I had this thought the other day, is creativity just a survival mechanism, a trait that's evolved with us over the years, over the millennia, that has allowed us to evolve into civilizations, into communities. It's interesting that we're the only species who, under our own definition, is creative. So what happens when AI overtakes us in the creative spectrum? Do we lose that ability? Do we lose that skill? As automated driving comes around, let's say 5, 10, 20 years when no one's driving, do we lose a skill to be able to drive? Do we lose that spatial reasoning at 110 kilometers per hour? And is the same true for creative outlets? So let's just say that this sort of stuff, in 5 to 10 years, this is redundant. There is no hand-skilled designers doing this sort of thing. Designers and creative people. Do we lose the ability to be able to do this? Does everything just get limited to being a prompter? What happens if we let AI outpace our creativity, where it's no longer a necessary skill? What does that do to the flow and the rate of innovation? I'm not sure. I don't think it's good. But we're getting off topic here a bit. So this is where I'm sort of starting. Just creative. I quite like this. This was actually a logo I did for a client, but they hated it. And it's like, you just don't get it. So I took it back. Creative World, it's not registered, but it will be. And Design or Die. So Design or Die is a very provocative title, and it comes from, I guess, this Darwinism way of looking at it, like this adaptation, adapt or die. It's kind of like that. So if we don't keep designing, if we don't keep thinking, if we don't keep using critical reasoning, then we lose that ability. And I think if we lose the ability of adaptation, then we're dead. So it's not about design, like design logos or we're all going to die. It's about utilising that part of your mind, that curiosity, that synthesising problems into solutions. That's what separates us from any other species on this planet, at least. And so design or die. I think it's a pretty simple vision. We need to get better at it. We can't just stop because AI does it now. And we can't just limit ourselves to being prompters exclusively. I think this is perhaps a direction and a skill set that we need to, we're on the trajectory of developing, but this is not it. And this is an evolving thing. Like, no one knows where this is going to end up. All you can do is put a stake and plant your flag in the ground and stand for something and follow it through and see if you're right or wrong. But that's where I'm at. Design or die. Very first thing, just started to do some creative hour. Just just bring more designers, bring more thinkers about, and start sharing and creating the conversation. So the idea is the creative world, we do cool shit that spreads more creative energy out into the universe. It's a bit of a nebulous tag slash mission, but I think it points in the right direction. So that's just the basics of what I got so far. But anyway, where we're going back to is Design or Die. But what we want to get to is this, back to Junction Arts Festival. So the problem I find with this is it's just a distraction. It's just a bunch of sugary noise and mess from funded arts students that really has no commercial practicality. And the only way that these are sort of available and accessible is through funding, through festivals. Now that either says that the free market doesn't celebrate or need this kind of stuff, or that these people really haven't broken. I think it's like too self-involved. So what I want to do, and I guess I'm doing the same thing. So what I want to do, this is my free expression. So I'm going to have a go at this. What I learned from last year is just to keep it simple and to pick a simple theme. And I was reading that book, that Rick Rubin book. What's it called? Rick Rubin book. What was it called? The Creative Act. And what he was saying in the Creative Act, one of the points I got from it was that this creativity is it's self-expression and it's a diary entry. If you write a diary entry, you can't be wrong. It just is what it is on that very day. You don't have to judge it as being good or bad. It's just capturing that point in time. And so instead of trying to make some sort of big announcement or big fuss, or trying to be overly poetic or overly poignant or satirical or just trying too hard to be something, what I'm going to do this time, this is just my diary entry. So the ideas that come up today, it's just what's on my mind today. Tomorrow might be different. The day after that might be different. And whatever I put out there, it just is what it is. There's no right or wrong with this. It's just, is this where I'm at today? And is this the honest and most authentic expression of what I'm going through? So I think with authenticity, there's a lot of honesty. And so with this, I'm going to have to be really honest with myself and say something. So let's get into it, because I don't want this to just be some sort of artsy-fartsy sideshow attraction. And I'm not trying to be preachy. I guess what I am trying to do is just talk about my life and show the world my perspective, what the world looks like from my angle. That's it. Pretty simple, huh? Probably only got to this weekend to come up with something. So again, I'm going to stream as much as I can of this, and yeah, we'll see how we go. So I'm pretty new to all this, but we figured it out. Okay, so the very first thing is, oops, fuck hell. Creative world. Why haven't you? Junction. Okay. It's very pretty deep, which I don't like, but anyway. So I'm going to build an exhibition for the thing. Going for elephant in the room, themes around AI and humanity's place in the future. So something around that. I think that's pretty cool. Okay. Can I highlight? And by the way, I don't move that fast when I do this stuff. I think a lot, so I think that's an important point. And so that's what I want to do. Just take an elephant in the room theme. It's like, hey, how come no one's talking about this? Or how come no one's thinking about this? And just build a conversation around it. Like last year, the one I got kicked out for running the voice to Parliament of both for and against each other. So this AI was debating, like there was two different AIs and they were debating back and forth. I didn't have a stance. I was pretty omnipotent about it. I was like, yeah, I wasn't for or against. It was just about seeing, hey, can machines generate an outcome from this? But people didn't even talk about the AI. And it had voice as well. And people just got really pissed. So I think that says more about society than it does where the elephant in the room there was this AI that had voice generators, the political leaders, like exactly. And it had started to form an opinion or, a proxy for and against opinions. And then they had an argument back and forth to try and come to a resolution. Like, that's the elephant in the room. It's like, but people were so attached to the ideology of it that they didn't look at the bigger picture, which was, what does the future of decision making or politics look like to us? We've got these machines doing this, or you can do this right now. So that was an interesting study. I wasn't expecting that outcome. People were more pissed off about the topic rather than how it was presented or the technology that was used to do it. So anyway, it's funny. So what I do here under themes, so what I want to do, like once I sort of flesh this out as I'm doing now, just build content. Just get this out there, get this process out there. So here's some of the themes I sort of picked up on about the AI and humanity's place in the future is I go through and I do just like a word association / just let my mind flow, just type out things. So what I do is I just type out things that come to my mind. I spend about 30 seconds doing this, blah, 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 blah. And it does act a little bit like a journal. Then what I'll do is I'll go over it and I'll bold the points that I think are the most poignant from that. Then I copy and paste it down here. Then I go through it and then I select, okay, well, what are the things that stick out of this category? I bold them. Copy and paste, take the bold ones and then bold the things out of this category that I think are good. And then it brings me down to the final one. And I usually try to get down to 3 because I find with 3 sort of things, once you filter down to just 3 points, it gives you something you can triangulate to. If you've got too many, it's trying to find the relationship, but I find that if, once you take 3. And how do I judge which one's the bold? It's just a feeling. I just let the brain flow to do this stuff. And then once I've done that, I just think, I don't judge it. I just say, okay, this is what I've got. Now let's go through and use that, the executive decision-making function in my mind to go through and now filter down. So this is where I landed. The future of parenting, raising kids, making schools redundant. So it's an interesting set of topics. It was an interesting theme just there. So the future of parenting, raising kids and making schools redundant. So now we just take this and sort of, let's just sort of riff on this. So further exploration, let's say, letting AI raise our kids, what could go wrong? Education with AI. AI is raising all of us. I'll just say robot. Actually, you know what I'd do? I actually might do that same word association process. And then I might just do the same sort of filtering, go back over it. So how long do I spend on this? I probably just want to spend another half an hour, and I'll just pick something and go with it. Like, it's not going to be perfect to start with, but I just want to choose like a general direction. So go robot, teachers. By robot I mean AI. Well, I might just go back to AI. So go AI parent and AI child. Let's just go fast, mother and child. So I'm just trying to get some ideas out. There's no real answer just yet. I think teaching seems to be a theme. It's coming up. Teaching. I think I might be just sort of rehashing what's already been said. The future of schools. So I might just wind up this line because it's starting to regress back. I'll do one more. I want this to have a Black Mirror theme to it. It's kind of like a dark, say, black comedy in 5 minutes from now. Okay, so let's just add some more thoughts. Want this to have an element satire. Element of satire. Darkness. Into current themes that no one is yet taking seriously. It's got to be fun and dark. It has to be fun, dark. I'll say slightly dark, a little dark, thought-provoking. thought-provoking and I want people to thinking about the bigger question on their car ride home or when they go to have drinks at the bar. Yeah, so what I want to do is, I guess, a conversation, maybe a deep conversation starter. This really shouldn't be, this isn't about the installation itself. People shouldn't even really think about that. I want them to go away with a question that they have to answer in their own lives. That's really good, I think. I want to give them a question, not an answer. I like that. Let's put that here. I want to give people a question so they figure out the answer. Whatever that may be for them. Also, important to note, this isn't meant to be preachy or telling people what is right and what is wrong. Yeah. So I'm not here to tell people you should think that or you shouldn't think that. Like, that's up for them, because who am I to dictate what is right and what is wrong? I think that's more of a consensus of society. But what I can do is I can give them a question to then they go out and think about it. Yeah, so I think that's what we'll do. Okay, I think that's enough, stuff to write about. So go through here. I think that one's interesting. I think that I think we've got to change that actually. It should be, is AI raising all of us? For teachers, I kind of like that motif of having, I think mother's actually good. Okay, mother and child, there's something to that, the simplicity of mother and child. Who teaches AI? No. Future schools, no. Storytelling. I think storytelling should be part of it. And maybe question and answering. Black comedy. Let's just get Black Mirror. So what I'll do here, oops, copy paste that, go down, paste, and I'm just going to delete the things that aren't bold. I could so make an app for this. So I guess also what I'm trying to prove is, like, what does a designer look like today? You know, because I'm a graphic designer. Well, I'll just say I'm a designer. I design in whatever. You know, give me anything. I'll turn it into something. I don't care. Okay, so let's just shape this into something now. So I'm just going to shape this into something. So I guess what we want to do is turn this into something a bit more like a philosophical statement, like, which is a question. Actually, let's just try things. I'm looking for as many examples to use ChatGPT, just to try things, just to experiment. So we got this new one. Right. I'm just going to put, what are the themes in these? Okay, so let's see what it comes up with. So what we got? AI and parenting your child. Seems to explore the implications, ethical considerations of taking on roles traditionally held by parents. That's interesting. Let's just copy that in. So I'm just going to go here. I'm going to go themes explored. Again, I don't really have any sort of method to the madness of coming up with these. This structure, I'm just sort of, you know, just trying. Oops. Yep. So I think that's interesting. Raise question about dependency, the impact of child development, and the broader societal effects for AI's involvement in upbringing. So telling these things focus on method communications between humans and AI. They can be used in narrative forms such as yeah, that's pretty cool. I'll copy all that. Again, there's no real structure to how I'm doing this. It's just sort of, I guess it's a bit like scrapbooking, just kind of copying and pasting and sort of cutting bits here and there, like a scrapbook, but then helping that to shape like the overall bigger picture, which we're hoping to discover. So we're sort of like mining at this. You know, this is kind of a, you know, we've got to be a block of marble, and we're sort of chipping away, refine it until we see what was underneath the whole time. Okay, so let's combine these themes into philosophical statements. See what happens. Yeah, I don't mind that. Not quite right, but let's add that to the list. Add that in. In a world where increasingly shapes our behaviours and decisions, we must question whether we are raising the next generation of thinkers or merely creating a society of passive followers. We are raising. That's pretty interesting. So it's really interesting, like even seeing this, you're seeing how we can use AI itself to sort of shape our thinking. So I go, yeah, we could eventually come to these conclusions, but not right away. And not without a bit of a think tank. Maybe that's what's coming to an end, this idea of think tanking. You know, move quickly. That's pretty interesting. Again, we just sort of copy and paste these all in. Then we sort of start to look through this and start to shape it. And you know what I might do? I might even just copy this whole thing in and then see what happens. I don't know, but let's try. Okay, cool. Combine these all together. One philosophical point. See what happens. It's kind of cool with this because you don't really know what's going to happen. We nurture a side in which things are passive, as influences behaviour, decisions, and ethical frameworks. We must critically examine whether this integration enhances our collective wisdom or leads us into dystopian reality. Okay, let's simplify this. Simplify this into an elevator pitch length question. Okay. That's interesting. We'll take that. But I still want to go back to... Let's just plug that in. Into here. But I want to take that back to... So I guess that's distilled a lot of this. But I want to take it back to mother and child. Let's copy this in. Sometimes what I find is if you copy this in, it kind of ruins this flow of what you're talking about, like this conversation flow, because it introduces more information. So what I'd love is if you could able to just step back. I guess it's like a branching thing. So from this question, we're going to branch over to here, but I want this branch that goes over that way to be possible, so you can sort of jump between, different thoughts. But anyway. So I'm going to go, what do I want to do with this? Here is my project. So what do I want to do? I'm going to copy and paste in there. Let's shape this into something. I don't think that's going to work, but let's see what happens. Wouldn't it be great to just have an elephant in the room? But I think Banksy already did that. Okay, key themes, future of parenting. Yeah. Nah. See, I want this to be visceral. So, I don't actually think I have last year's. I wish I did, though. Junction. Oh, there's all the voice stuff. Let's go marketing. No, I don't have it. No, that's not it. It's a damn shame. Okay, but anyway, let's go back to. Yeah, see, I don't really like this. It comes up with really shit, sort of like 101 level ideas. Yeah, that's not what we want. Okay, let's just forget about that. Let's just keep it simple. So I want to go mother and child. I think that's a really cool theme. And yeah, so that's where I'm at the moment. I've got a little kid on the way. I have a child now, and so that's something that's really right there in the forefront for me. So I think that's the theme. Let's ponder, are we sacrificing? Ooh, that's a pretty cool word. B, digital dependency, so school. Yeah, that's alright. So I want that. And it's not going to be preachy. So let's just copy that down. Oops. So this is my general process. I do a lot of my thinking actually in a Word doc. So I want that. I want that. So I'm just, again, filtering down. Mother and child. People are a bit touchy about that, so I like that. So that's me. Yeah, what could go wrong? Yeah, okay, let's just go with that. So let's use this to shape it. We'll call this the that'll do for now. Okay. So some ideas. I reckon this one belongs up here. Let's put it in separate. So that's probably a bigger, broader question. Where is it? Let's go. That's our question. But again, I don't want to be preachy. Let's start with the home. So mother and child. mother and child and AI. So I'm not choosing AI just for the sake of it's the latest trend. Why am I choosing AI? It's hard to ignore. It's in everything now, and it's grown so exponentially. I'm also not interested in creating that AI system, more so an AI interface, or an interface over the top of AI. The system is too much. So maybe, I need to come up with a name for this. I think mother and child, like what would really get someone's attention? I think people like getting pissed off, don't they? Mother and child. So what are we saying about the mother and child? Or motherless, childless? No. Too dark. Right, we'll come back to that anyway. I don't want this to be artsy either. Actually, I like an ampersand. No, I don't. I like that better. Right, let's just go mother and child. See what starts to come up. Google search is so shit. Let's go. I always forget Midjourney's name. But let's go. Mother. And yeah, we're just using this to get I don't know, just get the brain moving. It's a good way to see different things. Oh, that's wrong. We go on Pinterest too. Go mother. Let me just go mother. See, I don't really know what I'm looking for, nor do I have an agenda of what I'm looking for. It's just, skin a feel, see what's out there. Yeah, I'm figuring out like what do we want to say about this. And also don't want to overcook this. I don't want this to be overdesigned. I actually don't even want it to be about the design. So what I really got to start to think about is get rid of that. That sucks. Get rid of that. So you can see this is pretty parochial kind of their stuff. It's like they talk about this September. I've got a bit of time actually, but not that much time. I don't want to spend that much time on it. Did say something here before. Oh yeah, collision of art, performance and music. Collision. So in my last year's exhibition, I had, let's try and draw it up a little bit. I'm actually not the best. I'm actually not the best person to use Illustrator. I've got a pretty old school approach to Illustrator, which is sort of really just limited myself. Well, not limited. I just stick to using the same set of tools that I always have. So yeah, I guess I've got like more of an old school. Just keep it simple. I've seen people like use all these fancy sort of blends, filters, different processes, and yeah, it looks really cool. But it's not me. I guess I like to just be a bit more old school. So just gonna sort of quickly sketch up what I did last year. So this was the setup. 3 screens, so I would say the topic here in the middle, and so that sort of came up on screen. Then I had, should we draw some Lauren Ipson in there? Yeah. Just make it smaller. Yep. So that was the topic. And then I had the 4 on this screen. Then I had the against. Oops. Against. Like that. And just imagine that's on the angle, and same with that. And so what would happen, just put out a little bit, yeah, they would just debate backwards and forwards. So, and this topic sort of gave this feeling of a moderator. Let's just add this to Creative World. Create a new project, and I'll call this Junction. New folder, and go in. Oh no, call this design. Call this concepts E1. So pretty simple. And so then what they would do is they'll just debate, sort of backwards and forwards, and they used to like talk to each other and reply to each other. So yeah, it was just a loop backwards and forwards. It was really cool. So what I did was like I sat just here and just listened into it. Sort of took it all in, and from that I actually made my vote. So the vote was the, voice to Parliament. That. Yeah. And so I sat back here And this went for about 20 minutes. I think that's how much I allowed for. So, yeah, we'll just say, actually, it might be about 28 minutes, 24 minutes. 24 minutes. Now, so I sort of sat there and I watched it and I listened to both sides of the argument, and then I made my vote. And the cool part was this, is where I was feeding this from was from Google articles. So, I Googled articles for this. That sort of fed into this one. Then here I Googled articles against and I use that to feed in to these conversations. The reason why I did that was because I figured, well, how are most people going to get their information? They're most likely going to Google, read the newspapers, read the headlines. So that's what I did. I just got everything that everyone else is typically going to read, used it as like a ground truth. I said, okay, read this document, and then form your opinions against. And I did the same, read this document, form your opinions for, and then I had them talking backwards and forwards. So it's pretty cool. And from here I got an insight, which was great. Got like my question answered. I made my vote from that, and I think I made an informed vote based upon this simple dynamic. It was just like watching a debate live. So with this next thing, with this mother and child, so now I've got to think, I do like the idea of keeping this screen mechanic. Maybe I can still keep that. Here's the, it's awful. Okay. Get your perspective right. That's the mum screen. And then this is like the little baby screen. They just kind of like talk back and forth. But have some text on there. Have the voice there as well, but I'm not sure if that's interesting. So if we go back to this, let's get rid of that. You get a picture of what this is, so you can fuck that off. So I guess this is the question. Maybe that's it. Risking our humanity. Risking our humanity by letting algorithms shape our lives. Okay. Well. What do they do? What can they talk about? We'll talk about big topics. We can sort of say mother teaching the child. Child and skin big questions. Problem with the big questions is, well, maybe another thing is like, who is mother? All right. Well, it sounds like my kid's awake, so I think it's time to wrap up this session for now. And when we get some more time, we'll kick off and get back into it. So, catch you later.